This Chat with the Experts is brought to you by Angie's List on 93 WIBC.
Welcome back to Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List. We've been chatting today with Mike Bird of Advanced Restoration and Waterproofing. We're going to be taking your listener questions here in just a moment to get you some feedback about your basement and crawl space problems. First, though, it's time to take a gander at what's trending. If you find that water is regularly pooling in your basement floor and you're constantly fighting against standing water, a sump pump may be a good solution. And Angie's List reporter Michael Schrader investigated the subject earlier this year in an article titled, "Flooded Basement? A Sump Pump May Be the Answer." Now, while nothing takes the place of basement waterproofing and what preventative measures can do to ensure a dry basement, a sump pump can actually suck up water that intermittently seeps into your basement. And every basement should have one of two water evacuation systems in place, either a storm drain system or a sump pump. And if water is regularly seeping in and it's not draining properly from your basement, a sump pump may be your best answer. Now, sump pumps typically fall into two main categories, either submersible or pedestal. And the submersible motors have a motor that's submersed into the water, and these are generally going to be quieter, but they're harder to adjust the water levels once they start pumping. The pedestal models have an above-ground motor, so they're going to be a little bit noisier, but they're also easier to adjust. So which one is right for you? It actually all depends. If you have a very wet basement and your pump is going to be running frequently, submersible pump is going to be the best answer. Since it's underwater, it's not going to get overheated as easily. However, take note that since they spend their time underwater, they tend to have a shorter lifespan than the pedestal pumps, averaging around 10 years compared to twice that for a pedestal model. Now, one big piece of information you're going to want to consider is the cost, and experts advise not to go cheap when it comes to your sump pump. What you're going to save on a cheap model, you could end up paying for multiples on water damage repairs. So experts say the cost can range from $250 to $700, but there are a wide range of dependable models that run around $300. So do your homework. Read some reviews and look for a good model that's going to meet your needs. And once you've purchased your sump pump, the final step is going to be hiring a professional to install it. And it is possible to DIY, but it's suggested that you hire a pro because the job's going to involve some tricky work, which includes cutting into the concrete floor. So for more information on this subject and a whole lot more, you can find all kinds of sump pump and basement waterproofing information at angieslist.com/articles. All right. That's going to do it for our What's Trending segment. And now it is time for that special part of the show where we take your listener questions and get you some answers from our guest. It's called Consumers Ask. And as always, we took our questions from Facebook, Twitter, and our online Angie's List Answers Forum. And today we're going to rely on the expertise of Mike Bird to get these folks some help. Mike, are you ready?
You bet.
All right. Let's start off with a question from Clay. He wants to know your thoughts about foundation vents. Is this something that's actually going to prevent moisture from being a problem in your crawl space during the summer months?
Yeah, Clay, thanks for the question. I would just say that, many years ago, the school of thought was vent the crawl spaces, and we did that for many years. After time, that kind of changed. And today, our thoughts is let's close those crawl spaces up, let's encapsulate them, and let's control the environment, because especially here in central Indiana, you take a day like today, we've got extreme hot weather for this time of year, and we got great humidity levels. Well, if you're venting that, that's actually coming into the crawl space, and it's helping develop a higher moisture content than the 50% that we're looking for. So now mold can grow again. So my thoughts on that would be, Clay, let's close it down, encapsulate it, and do away with the vents.
Yeah, that's one thing I was going to ask, because for so long these homes were built with the vents already in place. So it sounds like you can come in, or somebody can come in, remove the vents, and completely seal up the hole.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. We want to seal that off. We want that to be a controlled environment once again. I mean, you've got to remember, about 40% of the air that you breathe in your home actually comes up through from your crawl.
Right.
You want that to be good, clean air.
Yeah, absolutely. In keeping with the theme of crawl space, Garen asks if covering the ground in his crawl space with plastic is going to do anything to put an end to moisture problems.
Yeah, Darren, thanks for the question once again. We don't just want to cover the space with plastic, although it might help somewhat. That's just a simple vapor barrier. A lot of times it can actually cause more damage than it can help. For example, if you haven't outlined the entire crawl and you haven't brought it up and sealed off the walls, water can actually get on top of that vapor barrier. And once again, you've got a problem. So again, we would encourage you to encapsulate, which is going to be a 12 mil product or higher. And we encourage that to come all the way up the side and actually attach to the sill plate.
Yeah, there's a lot more that can be done than just crawling under there and laying down a few pieces of plastic and hoping that puts an end to the problem.
Exactly.
Flo says that she's starting to see cracks in the foundation of her home. Is that something that should be alarming?
Yeah, Flo. If you have foundations or if you have cracks in your foundation, you want to call a pro out immediately, because that's a sign that you have some type of failure. It can cause shifting of the home. It can cause your drywall to start to crack. In many cases, it can cause large structural damages that if it isn't taken care of on the front end, you can be looking at thousands and thousands of dollars to repair.
Yeah. Now, is that just going to be a sign of maybe a faulty job putting in the foundation, or is it just over time any foundation is going to start to have those kinds of problems?
Yeah, sometimes it could be a faulty job, but more so it's due, and it correlates with water. Usually if you have a foundation issue, you're going to be able to trace that back to some type of water issue. Again, you can go right back to the downspouts many times, and where somebody hasn't corrected that, that's what's ended up causing the foundation issue.
Right. Bryce asks if cleaning and repairing his gutters can put an end to his basement leak problems. Is there more he should do? We kind of talked about this a little bit earlier, but it sounds like that's just kind of the starting point.
Yeah, many times if people let their gutters go, that's obviously bad. You want to keep them cleaned out as well as you can, because that's where the foundation issue can start. But yeah, it is a good starting point.
Yeah. And not only are you talking about, water leaking in to your home, if you don't, have that sort of system in order, but also the side of your home, it can do a lot of damage to brick and concrete. So it's the gutters are a small piece of the home, but they actually play a pretty big role overall.
Absolutely.
Megan wants to know if there's a sump pump system that you recommend. We kind of talked about the importance of those at the start of the segment. What are your thoughts?
Yeah. Well, I would recommend the sump pump system that we install. Going back, I think it was 2008, the Labor Day weekend, we used to install a one-pump system. After that, if we back up and you look at that weekend, we'd actually got 10 inches of rain in parts of central Indiana that happened in a 48-hour time span. Great deal of water came in very, very fast. Although our pumps kept up with it, I wanted to go back and readdress it, and so now we do a double pump system is what it is. So you have a lower pump, which is going to be the primary pump. And you have an upper pump that, should that pump ever be overran, or maybe it goes bad on you, you've got the second pump in that pit or that basin that's going to handle that water. So I would recommend a two-pump system at a minimum. It's always good to have a battery backup.
Yeah.
We also put in what we call a text alert, where everybody has a cell phone now.
Sure.
With the text alert, we do this complimentary at Advanced Restoration Waterproofing. If you get one of our waterproofing systems, you're getting it for free. What it does is it goes into our warranty and how it works. But let's say, for example, you lose power. I'm going to get a text, and then two other people that maybe it's you and someone else, they're going to receive text too that you lost power.
Okay.
Or it also will give you a high water alert. It just makes it really nice. So let's say we've got a high water alert. I get a text. I'm going to give it about 5 minutes. And if I haven't got another text message that says that water is starting to recede, I'm going to call you up and find out, is there something we can do to help out?
Yeah, that's an excellent system, and really cool to hear that kind of technology is out there. That's going to do it for our listener questions for this week. We want to thank, as always, all of our listeners out there for submitting their questions. If you got one you want answered, find us on Twitter, Facebook, and our Angie's List Answers forum, and we will do our best to get you an answer here on the show. Mike, thanks so much for coming on today. We really appreciate you taking the time to share your expertise.
Yeah, it was great to be here, and hopefully we helped out and we can do it again soon.
Absolutely. When we come back, we're going to chat with the Angie's List Washington, D.C. writer Jason Hargraves about pop-up buildings and how they're presenting a problem in certain neighborhoods. Stay right here. You're listening to Chat with the Experts, brought to you by Angie's List.
Angie's List believes that hiring great local service providers should be easy. Whether you need a plumber or a pet sitter, you can find one at angieslist.com. See ratings and reviews in hundreds of categories, shop popular offers, and request scheduling assistance directly online. Memberships start at just $9.99 per year. That's less than $1 a month. Join today and get 40% off with promo code WIBC40. Visit angieslist.com to sign up.